Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to Fit Chat, Chit Chat. I'm your hostess, Tyrone Sanchez, also known as the Fit Therapist. I'm the founder, owner, and client of Finding Inner Transformation, where we believe a fit mindset is more than the physical. It is spiritual, it's emotional, it's mental. And we ask that you take all those things into consideration when you are on your healing journey. Fit Chat, Chit Chat is a place where we can come together, hear stories, all things health and relationship. And today we are talking about fitness, weight loss, body competitions, bodybuilding, lifting, running, anything that you can think of that relates to fitness. We are here to talk about it today. So I'm super excited to have our guests. I'm going to have them introduce themselves one by one and tell us a little bit about themselves. So I will start with Miss Terry.
Oh, I have to be first. I'm Terry Reeves. I am in Fresno, California. I am a fitness coach, mostly older adults, and also a professional bodybuilder and a show promoter.
Awesome. Thank you. What's the fun fact, Terry?
I don't know how much fun it is, but I'm from New Jersey. I've been here for 34 years, but when people still ask me where I'm from, I say I'm from New Jersey, not from here. I don't know. Awesome. That's fun, but that's fun.
Thank you, Terry. Eddie. Mm-hmm. You're on mute.
Hi. So I'm Eddie. I am in Bay Area, San Jose. Been doing this for about 22 years. By the way, support having me. I'm a trainer. Used to be at Gold's. Right now I'm at American Barbell. That's my full-time job. I have my people that I go and see every day. Besides that, I do competition prep for bodybuilding, figure, bikini. I don't have that many clients. I pick only on certain people that I like to work with. That's about it, I guess. I do nutrition. I am certified massage therapist, which I probably work like 1 month after the school. I don't know how to do. That's about it. Fun fact, I'm from Ukraine. Came here 30 years ago. I enjoy racing motorcycles on the track. And I enjoy my family. I have a 9-year-old. That's about it. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Eddie. Miss Tanya.
Hello, my name's Tanya, and I'm actually a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, as well as I own a brick and mortar supplement and nutrition store, and am an executive with a new athleisure wear company that is launching. So I actually haven't coached in a few years, but my experience is with coaching figure and bikini and physique athletes, and I used to compete myself as well in the figure division. So, and a fun fact about me is the combined weight of my 4 dogs is over 500 pounds. So yes, they each weigh either just as much as me or more than me. So I've got 4 bull mastiffs, which are basically like having 4 mini horses living inside my home. So currently they're in the backyard, so they don't bother us during this call.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanya. Miss Jen.
Hi, I'm Jen, certified personal trainer, certified nutrition coach, glute specialist, do online and in-person training. Fun fact about me, I love to read, but surprisingly, I love paranormal fiction junk. That's just one of my favorite downtimes for my brain.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. If we want to hear more about a glute specialist, I'm sure my audience was like, listen, glute? I want to hear that. Mr. Chad.
All right, everybody. Hello. My name is Chad Talbot. I am the CEO and founder of a company called 911 Academy, which is a defensive tactics and firearms training company where we do everything from active shooter training, law enforcement, military, and families, civilians, helping to create knowledge and empowerment through our program, which obviously, creates confidence. I am a former Naval Special Warfare operator, otherwise known as SWCC, Special Warfare Combatant Craft crew member with the Special Boat Teams. I did 10.5 years. Ended up getting out, contracting. I was an anti-terrorism instructor for the Navy for 5 years, teaching a variety of courses. And then I was also a diplomatic protection agent, working for Department of State throughout Iraq on the Shark teams, 2010, 11, and 12. And got back and was injured, found out my spinal cord got crushed, and I had to have back surgery October 15th, 2015. And it was a long road getting back to what you see today of somewhat healthy, and mobile. And my main goal is flexibility, mobility every day, just to stay upright, because I deal with some neurological stuff I got going on. But I started competing back in March of 2003. And I competed from 2003 to 2007, NPC bodybuilding for fun, to try it out. Did a lot of professional fitness modeling and things of that nature for about 4 years. And then got really wrapped up with deploying and going overseas again. So that kind of stopped. So I'm turning the big 50 this year, 50. So I'm looking possibly, looking to see it maybe, I don't know. We'll see, maybe a PMBA, maybe natural, because I am natural. I may do a natural for my 50th. In the last 10 weeks, I've lost 37 pounds. So I am on track. I'm weighing 211 now. Probably going to get down to the probably high 180s, 190s, 187, 193, 195, compete somewhere in there. But I'm giving myself another 6 weeks of, dieting, as you guys are all familiar with. Sucks. The training is easy. The diet's what kills you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I'm in that process, like I said. And fun fact. Let me see here. Paranormal stuff. So I'll go to sleep at night. How I go to bed is I watch paranormal stuff on, whether it's Ghost Adventures or whatever. I'll sit there and I'll watch it, and that'll lullaby me to sleep at night.
That sure is a fun fact, because that will have me up, holding all through my house.
Yeah. So no, I got God over me, but
Yeah.
But that's I will go to sleep watching like Ghost Adventures or something, man. I'll sit there, and next thing I know, I'm out. So
yeah,
that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Marcel.
Yeah, Marcel Walker. I own a fitness studio in Hanford, California. Been doing fitness now for about almost 15 years. Also an X-ray tech as well. I try to keep that cert going. But I do competition prep, but mostly I focus on overall health and wellness here in town, and also nutrition. So, but I specialize in health and wellness, weight loss, and strength and conditioning as well. So, not going to go on too long, but just, the fun fact is I was in the United States Navy. So that, and then also I'm big into gardening. I know people who probably know me personally wouldn't believe it, but I actually like it. Calms me. So I think I got that from my grandmother. So the flowers and stuff. I have a green thumb, so that, which is kind of cool. I guess it, but yeah.
That's awesome. Let me just say, when a couple years ago, I went down, and I don't know when Marcel started Sweat Unlimited, but I was going past, and those girls was outside running. They had that garage open, and I said, "Oh my goodness, he in there running boot camp." I was scared to go past it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. If you have any questions for those that are watching online, please put in your comments, your questions, your feedback. I already see someone holler glutes, so they're interested to hear about that. But before we move on, who are you?
Well, I am Tyrone Sanchez. I am a fit Chit Chat's only employee and whipping boy. I've been in the Navy. I was in the Navy 25 years, retired. I am a certified master fitness trainer through ISSA, strength and conditioning, senior citizen, recovery, DNA based, you name it. I'm certified there. I actually approach things a little differently. So I'm what you call a runner / lifter. I'm kind of in between everybody here. Never really prepped or anything, but I'm like right on the outskirts. Obviously, my wife has done all those things, so by proxy, I have to be involved. Fun fact: besides Chit Chats, I was employee of the month 6 times in the last 5 months. But besides that, fun fact: one of our first dates, Mr. Chad Talbot there was able to. He showed me a few dancing moves, so I was a stripper for 3 sessions only on our first dates, and then I was forced out of the game. So thanks to Chad Talbot over there.
Yes.
My moves went down well. So other than that, that's it.
Well, and I guess I should just say, for those that don't know, I was a runner, well, significantly overweight, got into running, ran marathons, countless an ultra marathon, countless half marathons, and actually won Fresno's first ultra marathon female, which was amazing, and went into figure building competitions. And I did one in 2013, one in 2015. And my coach, Coach Eddie, you heard him say he will only take in a couple people. A fun fact about that is I knew him and was introduced to him in 2014 and only met him for the first time about a month ago in person. So that is awesome that we had that opportunity. So let's get started. All right. So Sarita says, hi, Tyrone. Let's get to nutrition. I hear a lot of conversation about nutrition, and I hear people say, well, I will work out, but I cannot seem to get nutrition. Why is nutrition the hardest part in your opinion? And we'll start with Jen. Why do you think that nutrition is so difficult for people to maintain?
I think a lot of people get confused about nutrition. There's so many different ideas out there. There's a lot of knowledge out there, but I think for the vast majority of people, it's confusing. We have different diets, we have different styles. People, hear about this trend, that trend, what worked for their friend. Maybe they tried, it didn't work for them. I just think they just don't know where to start or how to implement.
Yeah. I agree with that. Myself included a long time ago when I first started off with trying to lose weight. Tanya, in your opinion, why is it that people cannot stick with their diet or eating healthy?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of social pressure as well. So I always say I do a lot of sugar detoxes with small groups. And I always say in there, I think that quitting sugar can be even harder than, quitting drugs, for example. Generally when somebody is, they're trying to get off drugs, usually you'll have support around you to not do drugs anymore. But with sugar, it's kind of like, well, I made this, you're not going to eat it? Well, that's rude. And so I think there's a lot of social pressure. It's very pushed. And so I think it can be really hard for people going to social events and different things like that.
Thank you. That, you mentioned something about it being harder than drugs. There was an article I read recently, and it said, okay, so for people who try heroin for the first time, 13% of those people will become addicted. However, when you talk about being overweight, over 70% of people, and then when you talk about obesity, we're talking about 40%. So when you think about addiction and heroin versus food, we know that is one of the most widely abused drugs. So you make a very good and valid point. Eddie, I'm gonna shoot it up to you. Why do you think it's so difficult for people to stick to a plan or to eating healthy in general?
Well, I mean, what Jen said, right? There's a lot of misunderstanding about it, misconceptions, especially in US. I go to Europe a lot, and unfortunately, people are much more in tune with not only how to eat, but what certain foods are, how they affect their bodies, right?
Mhm.
I lived here for so long that I forget Russian sometimes, and when I go back, sometimes they will tell me, "Well, you can't eat that," and I'm like, "Well, why not? Can I eat that?" And they're like, "Oh, this will hold your water." I'm like, "Really?" And then I think in English.
Yeah.
Wow, it is that particular food will hold your water. How do you know that? And she's like, well, we just know, right? And then, just like Tanya said, social, right? Friends influence. People are afraid to bring their foods, their meal preps boxes, to when they're going out, right? They afraid that they've been judged, right? Um, and then when they get somebody like us, and they got breaking down everything. Well, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to eat. This is then another aspect, work, timing of meals. Life in California. I mean, all you do, you work. You forget to eat. You work so much, you forget to eat. And then people understand how much work we do just by taking care of our bodies, right? And they just give up. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So you spoke to a whole lot of things that I definitely think play a part in it. Marcel, what are you seeing? What are you seeing being the issue of nutrition and diet?
A good question, but I gotta jump on the wagon too with Eddie and Jen, and I mean I'm pretty sure everybody else too. But the social dynamic of food. I was like, especially here in the United States, um, everything that we do when it comes to emotions, I tell my clients all the time is like it's based around kind of like food. You if you upset, you were taught to eat. A lot of people taught to eat. You're happy, celebrate with food. If you're sad, go eat something. And so that I think that's a really big problem. And people kind of distort what's healthy and then what's actually bad for you or whatnot. I think also that we've kind of blurred the lines on what is healthy food or proper nutrition for our bodies, and then kind of blurred it with kind of junk food. So I think that we got to kind of title that or separate that and stop calling all this junk food or all this like the sugar and the snacks and stuff actual food. So when it comes to like trying to be healthy and trying to eat something proper, we always resort back to. That's why a lot of people, will, instead of eating chicken breast, they say, "Oh, well, can I go somewhere and eat a chicken sandwich from a fast food restaurant?" Well, I always tell them, "Well, that's not real food." Well, it is real food, yeah, but I think we're just blurring the lines a little too closely to know what's actually proper food, and then what's the food that we don't really need in our bodies.
Yeah. That's good. That's good because the labels tell us that too, right? The labels say, "Oh, fat free." The labels say sugar free, or all these other things, and people can be misguided. Terry, you want to chime in on that?
Yeah. I think what everybody said, I'm coming in at the end when everybody kind of went over it, just like started with Jen. She said about the confusion of what is good and what is not, so many different diets, and then the social pressure and all of that stuff, even with competing, like this person does that, how come I can't do that kind of thing? But then it comes down to like, we like comfort. And then society is telling us, like, you can turn on the TV, you got a commercial saying this food is gluten free. So that's good, but it's going to make me feel good. So it's more about comfort and our mindset, and then going on to the confusion and the social pressure and all that. But it starts within us, and it starts with us looking what we in our environment, things of wanting comfort and just seeing something and then saying, our mind is going to say that's good for me because it's going to make me feel good. And then just forgetting about just our mindset and doing the right thing, because everything is good until it's not, and everything is bad until you make it good. So just putting all that together, we have to first start within ourselves and our own mindset and how we think and how we feel about our own bodies, and then go on from there.
Oh, that's good, Terry. And because everybody is saying many different things, we're talking about socially, we're talking about the environment, we're talking about understanding, but the mindset thing is huge. And so Chad had, unveiled that he, have lost a significant amount of weight recently. And so I'm going to ask you, Chad, and then I want to touch in with Julie. What has been hard about that? You're coming back to something you've always known, because you mentioned you did bodybuilding competitions, which we're going to get to that here in a minute. But why has that been difficult, in your opinion?
Bottom line, like everybody is talking about here, is mindset. So, unless there's some sort of paradigm shift in your life that's forcing you to make that decision, because a lot of people like to make excuses, right? It's too difficult. It's too hard. I got to cook all that food. I really don't know what to eat. Everybody likes to make excuses for their lack of, being able to just step up to the plate and get out of their comfort zone. So I truly believe that, well, for myself, I'm either kind of an all or nothing kind of guy. And a lot of things I have a problem with happy mediums. I'm either all in or I'm not. So if I'm not training or bodybuilding or going for a particular goal, well, then I'm eating whatever I want. And I'm fine with that. But you need to be mentally fine with that, right? So you need to pick, for yourself. For me personally, I'm fine going and eating whatever the heck I want at any time, if that's what I want to do. As long as I'm fine with what I'm looking at in the mirror, right? And not everybody's comfortable in their own skin and what they see. So it is that mental mind shift. For me, I looked like, okay, I'm going to be 50, so for me, that the big 50 was the thing for me this time around. Was like, okay, how am I going to look at 50? Well, I'm going to be the most ripped 50-year-old I know, period. Straight up, so I made that mental shift. I'm like, you know what? And I told the wife, she's like, yeah, whoop-de-whoop, all I hear is this, don't talk about it, be about it, right? And then, the elephant in the room, steroids. Well, are you going to do it natural or are you going to cheat? What are you going to do? And I was getting that thrown at me, and, there's, I'm not here to judge anybody what they do. I chose to go the natural route, but, and you can do it. I mean, and I give myself one meal, not one day, but one meal a week, right? Whatever the heck I want. Don't matter what it is. If I want to go get ice cream and, double cheeseburger, well, guess what? That's my meal, but then, the 7 days, except for that one meal, I mean, I'm strict, so, for me, it was, and I think for a lot of people, you need to have that paradigm shift in your life. What's it worth to you? Stop making excuses, and, just handle your business, get things done, Now, granted, it's good to, get the information and knowledge from other people like us on here, but something in your life needs to change that's going to force you to do what you need to do. And not everybody's mentally, strong enough to do it. So we need, a community of people to help other people. Not everybody has a mental fortitude to do it by themselves. So for me, that's it.
That's good, Chad. You bring up something that I am going to talk about, but I want to get Julie on here. Julie, if you can introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and a little bit of background about your fitness endeavors. I'd appreciate that. Let's see. You're on mute.
There we go.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Hodges. Sorry I popped on here. I'm a hospital administrator for the county adolescent psychiatric hospital and an RN in Alameda County. So my life right now, the last 13 months, is, as you can imagine, has been unbelievable. And I'm a mom of 2 teenagers. So I'm just going to put that disclaimer out there. But thank you for having me on here. I'm actually in the parking lot of Crunch Fitness, balancing calls and kids sports. It sounds like the question is just challenges around food for the most part, or is there specific? Well, I love what everyone said, and I can look around the screen and see everyone's got great experience and backgrounds. I don't know that I want to hop on stage anytime soon, but I've done figure, I've done physique, I competed for 8 years. But the last year and a half, I've been focusing on running a hospital and keeping my family safe and myself in shape. But in terms of challenges, like I said, I love what everyone said. I agree wholeheartedly. I think another thing to consider is people get caught up in gimmicks. You got that friend that's selling a shake, or somebody wants to do intermittent fasting because it works for somebody else. I always stayed with the tried and true, small meals, with the carb, a protein, and a green leafy vegetable. I kind of go with the KISS, keep it silly, stupid. You don't need to set the bar high. You can throw your chicken in an Instapot or a crock pot. You can have your jasmine rice, your green veggies, and you just portion that out. It's really not that hard. I think the other challenge too is people have to eat to what they're looking for. Right now, I'm fuller. I'm kind of happy with it. I want to stay healthy and lift, but I'm not looking to compete right now. I'm not, doing strength and power lifting. So I just do what works for me, and I take notes and I ask questions, and we're always learning from each other, whether you're been in the industry for a long time or not. And I'm 52, by the way. 50 years. I'm 50, not 52. I turned 50 this year. Don't make me 52. But we also have to look what's healthy for us. High cholesterol runs in my family, so I keep an eye on my HDL, LDL. I run labs. So it's not one-stop shopping, and we're all students of food and fitness, and that's kind of my spiel.
Right. Thank you, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I want to get your insight, Tyrone, too, but I do want to say, I want to be completely honest. It is hard. I mean, even with like Julie, I keep the smaller meals. I prefer lower carbohydrate. That works for me. I don't do I'm not a no carb, but I prefer lower carbohydrates because it works for my body. But I will say that it is difficult. I think if nutrition was that easy, more people would be able to adhere to it. So I think that we have to look too about culture. I can't take that out. I mean, it was widely acceptable in a Black household to be fuller. And when I say fuller, I'm talking about the term big bone. Actually, if you were skinny, they thought something was wrong. So you come from that kind of ingrained mentality. When my grandmother, to this day, bless her heart, I know she's not watching because she barely know how to work her phone, but she would say, "What is that rabbit food you're eating?" If you had a salad. I mean, if the greens didn't have a hawk in it, you was doing it wrong. So we got to talk about culture. And when I say culture, I'm just not talking about ethnicity, but we have to play that. Just like I think Eddie said, is I forget when I go home how they eat, and they typically eat smaller portions. And they're looking at not only how it impacts your body, but how it impacts your mind too, right? And so we know how easily, if we get out of that culture area, that it could, bring us to some different type of awareness. So I do recognize that the African-American community, we have a lot of work to do, especially with African-American women being number one in the obesity rate, and that we can change the way that we look at food. And it's not easy by any means. So one thing that Julie brought up, and I want to pitch this question to my panelists, is COVID an excuse? Because we keep hearing it, the quarantine 15, the COVID-19, and all these other things. So as you guys are thinking about a response to that question about what can people do about that nutrition when we've been isolated, when we've been quarantined, we didn't have access to gyms. Most of you are gym owners, or you work out at a gym. Not everybody has the luxury at home. And if you're, Marcel, you got the whole gym to yourself. I should have called you during the first part of quarantine, but anyway. So while you're thinking about that question, what can people do when they were restricted and limited about access to working out, but also having some empathy and understanding that we were in high amounts of stress, and most people didn't know if they were even going to make it out. Did that impact their nutrition? I mean, let's be real. it wasn't that easy during the first part of COVID. But Tyrone, your thoughts about nutrition and why it's so hard? And I know you said you're a little bit different, so if you want to.
So the beautiful part is that, you know, everyone on this panel speaks the same language. And, you know, another beautiful thing that people have to realize is that just like a doctor needs a doctor, the folks on this panel, we all need each other as well. You know, because I can remember Eddie beating us up on our particular diet. You know, we're all pretty knowledgeable, but you know, we all need that little bit of help. So dieting, one of the things that I think people should focus on is that too often we get caught into getting into diets. That's why they don't last, instead of shifting your diet. All right. You can make changes that actually last for the lifetime of whatever you're doing. I can tell you that I've been on certain diets, but because I usually operate in two different disciplines, I distance run. I've run ultra marathons with the D before. I continuously run 6 miles. Usually, you know, I can run 6 a day, but it's challenging, especially when I go lift. And anybody that knows about nutrition, they know that, you know, a runner has a different diet than a lifter. And they kind of meet at times. And I really, if I focus on just my lifting aspect, I eat a certain way. But I will tell you that it makes it very hard to do that when I am expending a lot of that blood sugar on my runs. I can tell you how challenging. I can tell you how often I have to really get into my mental about running. Running, you know, for an hour plus has a different mindset than it does when I'm lifting. So therefore, my diet has to reflect it as such. So again, it's all about not really being on a diet, but just shifting your diet. I do like what Chad said, the paradigm shift. You either make time for your body or it's going to force you to make that time. And a lot of times diet is there. 2018, I was diagnosed with valley fever. So anybody's not familiar with that, is there's a fungus in the soil in California all the way through Texas and some parts around the world. But I will tell you that once you get it for life. And, you know, I really thought my days were numbered. And to some that did happen. But what I focused on was changing my diet, because I knew that it was that a lot of good things were going to come from it. So just like what Chad said, you know, some of us have that paradigm shift that kind of force you to do that. However, I chose to dive into that diet piece and adjust my diet to where it is now. So that's what make it okay for me. And I think people who don't focus on just overall changing their diet, I think that's why they lose out on that game.
Thank you. Marcel, I'm going to start with you, because obviously you probably I would imagine Eddie and maybe Tanya share the same thing, and Jen, when COVID happened, I mean, what happened with your business? What did you notice from your clients, especially when you're talking about weight gain or the quarantine 15? Did their nutrition get impacted?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely impacted it. But it's like the COVID 15. It's like the freshman 15. I mean, I think like the media and people were just kind of making any kind of excuse. It was almost like they were warping people's brains to just become like more lazy, almost. You know, I don't try to offend anybody. You know, but with my business, like if my business was different, you know this. My business is different than a lot of gyms where. My clientele, we've either already kind of made the mindset stronger with my clientele. So with me, a lot of them didn't fall off because we was crucial now. Like we were, you know, it hurt. You know, some people lost their jobs or went lower in hours, but we were like, we have no control over this. We're definitely going to stick with the fitness aspect. That's all we have, you know? So a lot of us really buckled down and buckled in. And got things done. There were a lot of clients, and obviously I had to shut down for a few months myself, but I was still on there doing videos with people, recording myself looking crazy, you know, in the gym by myself, trying to do anything I could to keep everybody motivated, which, you know, I'm glad it was appreciated. But my biggest thing is that even though people didn't have a lot of equipment, I was still telling them exercise is not about machines and equipment. It's about movement and nutrition, proper nutrition. And just because you don't have access to all this equipment doesn't mean you can't work out, which a lot of people thought, you know, I can't go to a gym anymore, so I can't work out. No, you can do sit-ups, push-ups, use your bed, sit down in the chair and stand back up 100 times. That's exercise, you know? And as far as the food itself, there's a lot of ways to be nutritious and still, you know, hit your goal. So I don't want to get too far from the question, but it did have an impact, but I was really trying to assure people that it was going to be okay. And luckily, a lot of people agree with me and didn't let this hurt their physical or their health, you know.
Here in a moment. Eddie, how about you, Eddie? Did you notice any impact with your clients, and was your business impacted during that time? But more importantly, clients saying they were having struggles with nutrition or gaining weight or any of those type of negative consequences that we believe, whether it's the media or ourselves, put on us during the start of COVID.
Well, yes. I mean, it's just hard to say what you know. After Marcel, he pretty much said a lot of things. I mean, I was completely shut down. The first week, March 16, they closed my gym, and it was like, I mean, I had nothing. I had 2 dumbbells and a yoga mat, you know, in my garage. That was it. And as you know, nobody knows here, but I had also surgery on my lower back, and back in 2018, I had a discectomy. I basically broke my disc in half, and in 2018 they did the surgery. I rehabbed, and I was just getting into things, you know, the past year and a half, and then this happens, right? So I'm stuck at home, and I woke up on Monday, and you know, I can't go to work, and I'm in my pajamas and 2 dumbbells. I know I did one video. It was so pathetic to me. You know, I lay down on the floor. I did this dumbbell presses, and I did this dumbbell flies, and I did push-ups, and I said, well, this is it, guys. This is what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? And I mean, it was so pathetic to me, and I said, that's it. I'm not doing any more with the videos. But you know, I start getting text messages, you know, on Facebook. Oh, that was great. I'm like, you guys kidding me? You know, I start texting my clients. That was Tuesday. Started texting my clients. Luckily, just like Marcel said, it's almost like they were waiting for me, you know, kind of like hook them, and just kind of like, I'm pretty sensitive about this. Like and you know, I hooked them back in. I start looking on Marketplace. That was the first week before the prices start going up. And I think I bought 3 benches, and I bought 5 or 6 sets of bands. And I had a couple clients that were very loyal to me. They're with me for, I don't know, 14 years, 15 years, and they still with me. So I dropped it off at their houses, you know, the benches, the bands, and I started working. So at that time, I had maybe 4 people online. Usually I have 11 people per day in the gym. So I run between 30 to about 32 clients one-on-one per month. And to me, of course, you know, I'm the one that makes income in my house. And so I start talking to people. I have a guy who makes food for all my clients. I mean, whoever wants it, right? It's called Healthy Habits Meal Preps. Very good food. So he was delivering food to them, whoever wanted it, right? So luckily, out of all my clients, even the ones that didn't have no equipment, there were maybe 3 or 4 clients that just completely shut me down, and they said, you know what, Eddie, we're not going to work out. We don't have nothing. We're not going to work out. It's just no way. And you know what? It's fine. It's not that, I understand we're all professionals. We all preach what we, you know, teach, right? But in the end of the day, COVID-15, whatever, you know, it happened. It happened. Somebody gained weight. It's all about what you're going to do with it. Are you really gonna sit there and be sorry for yourself a year later, or are you gonna gain this weight, enjoy yourself for 3 months, COVID, excuses, and then get on the horse and go, right? So, I mean, me myself, they were just motivated by me because I started taking money out of my savings. I bought cable machine, I bought Smith machine, I spent probably about $8,000 to $9,000, right? And it took me about 3 months. And I told them, I said, listen, I'm not going to do online anymore. You guys want to do something? You come to my house. I have a grandma. You're not allowed in the house, but you're allowed in my garage. You come to my garage. You sign the COVID paper with me. I have everything to clean up after each one of you. And, and the people start showing up. I did 3 shows in 2020. I went to Las Vegas, I started competing. I went to nationals in Pennsylvania, start competing. I went to Orlando and competed in nationals. It's what we do, what people see, right? And we're already their heroes, right? So 90% of my people, they just wanted to see that, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? How are we going to eat? You know what I mean? So I really don't think it was like all about excuses. The people, something hit us so crazy that I didn't even know where I was. So I didn't consider that as excuse. I can't tell my client, well, you're a lazy ass. You know what I mean? You don't want to come. You don't want to work out because you don't have anything at home. What am I going to do? 60 minutes of burpees and squats? Are you really going to pay me, you know what I mean, to do 60 minutes of squats? That's fine. Are you going to come back to me in 2 months and we're going to hit it harder than ever, right? So then that's what I did, and I really don't think it was excuses from people. I think that they gained it. They got it out of their system. They got better. That's all. Whoever got better got whoever didn't, it's up to them. It's really up to them.
So that was good. That was real good, Eddie. I think you just hit on a lot of things that we need to be able to have some grace for people. We hit something that none of us had been through before. And so we didn't know how to tackle it. Most people, again, didn't know if they would even live to see the next day, or, they were scared to go out. So we know, just like we've said earlier, stress can definitely increase our mood. And most people reach for what's comforting. Terry, did you notice anything with your older adult population with COVID and nutrition or weight gain or any of those changes?
Well, yeah, what Eddie said is like, and you said that this is all new. It was new to me. It was new to my clients. So that first day they were looking to me like, okay, what do we do? So I had to learn how to use Zoom and learn how to do all of that stuff. And thank God that I used to own the facility, so I still had a lot of equipment. I mean, I had a house full of kettlebells and bands and TRX and all that stuff that I wasn't using because I was in the gym. So I pulled all that stuff out, went to my garage, put all that stuff out and said, okay, how am I going to utilize this with these clients that are saying, okay, Terry, what we want to keep training, or what should we do? So I either said, do you feel comfortable with me coming to your home doing this, or in the garage or whatever, or on Zoom? And that's what we did, and just like you said, it was new to me, new to other people. And it just made all of us saying, what's next? How do we learn? What's going forward? What's the future like here? And because the good thing now is we got to look more at mindset, and then what Chad said, like working on flexibility and mobility more. You don't need too much equipment for that. So we started with that. And with weight gain, it was with not the older so much. With the older, they were actually easier because I said, they looked to me and said, Terry, what do we do? So whatever I said, they did it. So that was a little bit easier with the older ones. It was the kind of the middle-aged, younger ones is like, man, motivation's gone. I'm just going to eat. So that's when I said the mindset and the working on mobility and stability kind of stuff, until we got to the point where I went to their homes and worked with that. And so at that point, they started having a little weight gain because cortisol, stress. So cortisol actually increased, which they like, now what? They're depressed because I got more belly fat because this is happening. So then that started that roller coaster thing of eating and getting out of the habit of exercising until we kind of got that ball rolling again to get it back onto some kind of schedule, not being in the gym for a year. And now that gyms are open, I don't train clients in the gym anymore because what worked, what we started last year, we continue on that. So I know how to, work with the clients. There's some still that I train in person, but a lot of it now is I just write programs and then we do like this. We get online and we talk about more motivation, mindset stuff, and that kind of propelled them to be more active and pay more attention to what they're doing with their bodies. So that's how that kind of worked with me.
That's awesome. You mentioned cortisol. Tanya, I'm going to bring it over to you, and then I'm going to have my last three folks jump in and transition. But cortisol, that's a #1 hit for sugar. And you talk about detoxing sugar and getting your clients to move away from that. Did you notice any changes? Or maybe, people are being honest, maybe they didn't reach out and say they're eating more sugar, but did you notice any of those changes, Tanya, with your clients?
Yeah, I will say, initially when COVID hit, business was a little bit slower. #1, it was a little bit slower in my store because I think people were a little scared to come out initially. But also even with my practice, which I run remotely, people were not, they were focused on other things and not themselves and not their health. I will say now I'm so busy that I have a waiting list because I think people have really learned, which I think is the most important part. I always say, like, throw yourself the pity party, that's fine, but you've got to get over it and you have to get back up. And, you asked a question in the beginning about, was COVID an excuse? Was COVID an excuse for the COVID-15? And I think, yeah, it was an excuse, whether it should be or not. I don't know, but it was an excuse. And I think that I always live with the motto that, write your plans in pencil and give God the eraser, right? So I think that with COVID, this was really an opportunity for everybody to learn about themselves. Like, how adaptable am I? Like, Marcel's plan was to have a gym where people could come to and he could train them. And then that was taken from him. And so the same question could have been asked of him, is that the excuse as to why your business closed? Because he could have just closed his business down, but he didn't. He adapted and he said, okay, what can I do for my people? And so for all of you gym owners, my hat is off to you guys for being adaptable, for jumping on Zoom, for doing whatever it was that you had to do, opening up your garage, all of those things, because the same question can go for what you're asking, how did this affect people and their nutrition? How did this affect the businesses? And so I think every business owner in the same way learned, how adaptable am I? I am so grateful I was able to stay open. I'm essential. But I look at so many of my small business owner friends and it's like, and I went to each of them and said, I am impressed by you at how adaptable you are. And so I know that's a little bit off topic from the question of, how did this affect people during COVID? But I think it's just the same way. We learn about ourselves, and it was such a great opportunity to acknowledge and maybe say, oh my gosh, okay, I did put on the 15, but all right, let me get up and, make this right. And I do think people are seeing both my store and my practice are business is up.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you, Tanya. And yeah, thank you for shedding light on the people who have to manage and run these businesses, right? Julie, did you notice that you had any specific changes? I'm going to go from a little more personal is during COVID with nutrition, and I've seen you posting your videos at home. Did you notice any changes during COVID that you had to adapt to, whether nutritionally or for fitness?
Absolutely. I started off literally at home with the bench and a couple bands and some dumbbells. And, I started going outside with my dogs and found the opportunity to just, find different ways to make fitness still a priority. And with longer hospital hours, there was just no excuses. You know me, I'd get up at 4 a.m. and I think I posted videos not for business, but to let people know that, look, if I can do this, you can do this. I find pleasure in motivating my friends and family. So, I think we just had to be creative. And, I ran into the issue of Amazon going on for, 20-pound dumbbells, 100 and something dollars. And I said, absolutely not. But we didn't give up. My husband and I actually found gyms that were going out of business, and we started building our own garage gym. And I started letting a couple of friends and family members come in, and I'd help them out. But it was absolutely challenging. The scale didn't change a lot for me, but I probably lost a little muscle. But I just took it as, you know what, this is out of our control, and we're not looking at vanity right now. We're looking at survival and making this all work. So I just started reevaluating everything, and I gave myself grace and, try to keep up with the basics, but also allowed for living a little bit too, right?
Mhm.
When you're working 16-hour nursing shifts in a hospital, and you come home and, the only thing you're doing is yelling at the kids for messing up the house and, worrying about everything. You got to cut yourself a little bit of grace. So, I did that, and I just started having fun with fitness. I mean, you saw some of my videos working out in reindeer pajamas and jump roping outside and taking pictures of flowers and puppies. So I made fitness fun, and like some of the other folks on the panel said, I made it work, and others started looking at that too and started saying, well, geez, if you can do that, I can do that. And thank you. And I found self-motivation in motivating others. So yes, it was challenging, and I am hard on myself because I'm not show shape, but also I don't know that that's the priority. I'm healthy, my family's healthy. I'm been able to still work out every single morning, and I have a great garage gym now too. So I kind of just looked at the challenges and looked at them as opportunities. And some of these changes now I'm going to keep in my life. And I think, others will too. So yes, it's hard, but, I just looked at the big picture of health and family and love and safety. And now I have options. I have a garage gym and 2 gyms to go to. And so, like they say, when life gives you lemons, but is it hard? Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Julie. Chad, did the 30-something pounds you lost, did that come during COVID? How did it impact your nutrition and fitness?
Like I mentioned, I'm all in or all out. So for me, I was eating whatever I wanted, I mean, so, and that's a choice, right? But then I know I have the mental fortitude to flip that switch and get it off, literally. Where most people, like my wife was talking about, I was like, man, it's taking so long for me to lose this weight. She's like, what are you talking about? You just lost 30-something pounds in the last 9 weeks at this time, right? And I was like, yeah, but it's so hard. She's like, I don't even want to hear it. I'm a woman. I don't want to hear it. We struggle. I mean, you lost all that weight and all you did was, start working out again, and genetics, right? Genetics play a huge role, I believe with a lot of people. I mean, I've been training and lifting since I was 13, special operations for whatever. And so I've always been able to, one extreme to another, if I needed to. So, but not everybody has that mindset. Not everybody has the ability to, go eat Taco Bell and KFC and Popeyes and whatever else, and then just say, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right? Where I can do that, you know what I mean? And I have done that, and I am doing that. So, I enjoy life. I tell people, enjoy life. And then when you're ready, you'll make that decision. But only you are the only one that can make that decision. If people are using COVID as an excuse, fine, whatever. But you're the one that has to look at yourself in the mirror, or your spouse, or whatever. And so I'm not here to judge anybody. Everybody's got to make their own decisions in life and move forward. On a business side, it destroyed me. 2020 was hell, from what I do. I mean, they shut down all the gun ranges, not just the gyms, but, I couldn't go and train or shoot or any hand-to-hand or any type of self-defense classes, anything. So, I'm looking forward to 2021 right now, is to being a lot more profitable, especially now that a lot of people are getting these shots, you know. So
Awesome.
yeah, COVID did its number on a lot of people, but you know, it's how you flip that switch. You know,
Yeah.
you know. So
I agree. Thank you, Chad. And then just to finish up, Jen, so Sarita says, I love all this grace. And I think that's what people need to hear, that there is room for grace. Jen, did you notice any changes with your clients that you work with during the COVID start of it or currently? I mean, it's not gone, right? I know where some states are acting like it is, and some states and people believe that it is. But what have you noticed?
I would say for about 70% of my clients, COVID kind of gave them permission, so to speak, to slide. And like some of the others mentioned, anxiety, depression, not knowing what was going to happen one day to the next was a huge factor in that. And so we know some people that it's just easy. It's just easy to say, you know what, life is just short and precious, and I want to eat that. And then, you know, instead of just maybe the snack at night, kind of becomes, especially we're all home. We have access to it all the time. We're in survival mode. We're binge watching Netflix. It became more habit. And then the next thing you know, a year later, we've got the COVID 15, 20, 30, whatever it is. So I did for about 70%. The other 30%, it's funny that they use that time to actually dial in their nutrition, to pay attention to what they were eating and to kind of do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Jen. Tyrone, you want to?
Yeah. So for us, it affected us a little differently. My hat goes off to all those folks on here. You know, your primary profession was definitely impacted by it, but where it affected us differently, you know, for you all, it was like, hey, stay home, stay out of it. For us, it was like, you need to keep going to work. You need to keep going. And that itself was nerve-wracking too, because I was concerned just like everybody else. I got the news like everybody else, and you're hearing all these different things. So if you had businesses that was shut down, your mindset was definitely like, I hope I can get clients in here the whole nine. Whereas me was like, man, they're throwing me right into the fire. Because let's face it, the information that came out when this all first exploded in March, you might as well had my picture up on there. Black, male, type A, blood, you name it. I had it. And it was like almost they needed to have my photo on there. And then yet they're saying, still go to work, right? I'm a safety officer for one of the squadrons over here. So it was like, you still got to keep going to work. So it was a little more concerning for me, on top of it, with valley fever being a respiratory disease already. And no one knew how this was going to approach it. So I actually chose to dive more into it. I love the warrior mentality. I love the warrior mindset. And I just felt like I wasn't going to go down. I wasn't going to go down not fighting. So for me, what COVID did was it forced me to keep going out there working harder and harder, because my last challenge being valley fever, part of that was how I got through it, was my fitness journey, was the diet, was working out really hard. And so that is what I chose to do when March hit. And it was like, they're still throwing me to the wolves. So I went out there more and more. And I was like, the best thing I got going for me besides prayer was to have my immune system as fully charged as it could be. And that's what I chose to be. I hate saying it, but I almost ran in fear. My miles shot up, because I was like, I need to have, whenever COVID finally comes and visits my house, I want to be in the best shape as I can. I used to laugh over the last couple of years about, I used to tell people all the time, sickness will help you lose weight better than anything out there. You want to lose 10 quality pounds in 2 days? Get a stomach flu. You want to, when valley fever hit, I lost 27 pounds in less than 2 weeks, right? And I used to tell people when I came on the other side of that, hey, you want to lose weight quick, get a sickness. And I just knew, you know, that when COVID hit, it was like, I don't know what this is going to do. So I chose to go out there and fight harder and harder with it. And I think, like what everybody mentioned on here, is a lot of folks try to turn away from it and give themselves excuses. For me, it just made me fight harder.
And I agree, because that's how I met Jen in a female bodybuilding group on Facebook. You know, was looking for someone to have a community of other women who had shared qualities. And so that's where we kind of started. And it was funny because, we were like, oh, it's so interesting. And my coach will tell you, there's always those little 6 pounds, I'll call them, about, right? And then, it just was connection. That's really what we were all missing, was connection, whether it was connection to the gym, connection to friends, connection to work, even to ourselves, right? I think Tanya said it took a step back for us to learn about ourselves. I'm going to shift a little bit just to be in respect of time, because I know I've seen every one of you, and every one of you have amazing physiques. And still today, Terry is by far the one that's taken me through epic leg day that I'll never forget. She had me like baby Bambi for like 2 weeks. She was like, but Bambi got back up, didn't she? I'm like, oh my gosh. So when we talk about weight loss, whether we talk about getting in shape, there's something very different. And Julie used the term show ready. That's a whole different beast in itself. And most of us keep, I would say for the most part, show ready or close to show ready. I've seen Tanya before. I've known what Chisel Chad has looked like. I've seen Marcel. I don't know if you've done shows, but you could be very close to doing one if you've never done one. Every one of you have kept a close to show ready body, or have at some point in time. That's very different than what we're talking about. We're talking about people getting healthy, maintaining something. It's a different mindset. What is and nobody really talks about competition, the negative of competition. And I think there are some truths that need to be unveiled, because I hear people say they want to hit the stage, not knowing the discipline it takes, number one, and number two, what the ugly is of competition. And I will give my own experience at the end, and maybe everyone doesn't have the same experience. So if you haven't done a show, just speak to what that discipline is that is very different from just being healthy and being able to move. Because I hear Terry and I hear Chad, it's about functionality and movement, but that's not competition. Competition is a different mindset, and almost to the point that it can cause and I'll just be very honest, some eating disordered behavior. I don't think I've seen most of that until I hit the show backstage. If you really want to see some very disordered thinking around food, go to a show backstage after the night show, right after finals. I know Julie's laughing because you see those cupcakes start coming out, cookies. I'm like, oh my goodness. What is the mindset to competition, and what is an ugly that you've seen? You may not, want to say everything, and maybe it wasn't your experience, but what is the mindset with competition that's very different from just being healthy and eating, good and moving around? I'm going to throw this one up to Eddie first. Since he's, I don't know about everybody else, but he's still in competition. Like right now, he's preparing to hit the stage here soon. So,
you're funny. It's funny you ask me that, because, my approach, and me personally, I never rebound. My first show was in 1999. I was coached by Scott Wilson. Maybe some of you guys know him. I never rebound. It's just me. Tanya will hate me for this, but I love sugar. I can eat a lot of sugar. I eat sugar on my prep. I need sugar, and but I'm the one that cannot eat, like, for example, a lot of bread or a lot of pasta, right? So I spill out, like they say, I rebound, whatever it happens, right? So what I see with my clients, I see that it's a definitely work of a coach to get a right mindset way before the show hits. Okay, there's a 50-50 chance that you will get to that mind, or you will not get to that mind. And you need to do this, because in the end, you can say, I did it all I could. I told her everything. I tried to save that person, right? And they chose their own way. Because there's a lot of coaches I see, first of all, they don't talk about problems. They will get them no matter what to be ready on stage. which I'm talking about diuretics, I'm talking about whatever, steroids, right? And then as soon as the you know, they place or they don't place, they say, okay, well, go eat, you deserve it, you know. And that's where it all starts, right? So there's no exit protocol where the person leaves, and there's no exit protocol. Well, he didn't tell me nothing. I didn't pay him for off season, right? So there's no protocol. My girls, guys, they have an exit protocol. They don't leave. The ones that leave, I make sure to tell them at least what to do for about a week, because let's face it, the day of the show and the day after is the most, you know, is the most impactful. I've seen 19 pounds in one night. I've seen, you know, 5 pounds in one night. I don't put on more than 1.5 pounds in one night after the show, but that's just me, right? So, and then they text me behind the stage. Well, this girl eating, you know, rice cakes with a jam over it and an almond butter on the top, right? And this girl getting pom-pom with her, you know, See's candy, right? So it's all individual. Yes, sure. Everybody uses a cookie cutter at some point in their prep. I don't believe that every coach just does from the beginning of the, you know, first minute. There is some kind of a protocol of a diet that you have. There's some outline that you have. And it's maybe 20% different than the previous person, but it's really what it comes down to. When somebody stops showing results, what are you gonna do? There is no cookie cutter for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Week 5 hits, and that person is not showing that you're gonna be ready in 7 weeks. You gotta do something, right? So you just gotta know what to do. Some people need to drop water. Some people don't need to drop water. Some people are natural. Some people on gear. Whatever it is, it's very individual. If I don't see that the person is ready, I'm not gonna give her rice cakes. If it's a bikini girl and she looking for that pump, but she's not lean enough, I mean, I'm sorry, but you know that pump is not gonna be there. You don't even have enough muscle to have that pump. You know what I mean? And that's when it all comes to what they hear from, well, you look flat. What do you mean look flat? Who looks flat? Do you even have a lot of muscle to not look flat? You know what I mean? So It all depends on the coach, I believe, how the coach will move them into that competition mind. And of course, some people will listen to you, some people will not listen to you. I'm very, very thankful that 90% of my clients that compete, they don't rebound as much. So I don't see, like, you know, thyroid issues and metabolism issues and, you know, all that crap. Yeah, sure. I had one girl leave, and I don't know what happened to her. I tried to reach out. She didn't respond, right? That was like 6-7 years ago. And then all I know, a year later, I find out that she gained 30 pounds. You know, well, I mean, what are you going to do? That's one client out of how many I put on stage.
Yeah.
I mean, it always happens, you know. So I just think that it's a job of a coach. It's a coach's job to try to get through it, to try to reason with the person, tell her, give her an examples so she knows where she's going to, okay, and save her from listening to somebody. I mean, I don't know what else to say, you know, about that.
Yeah. Thank you, Eddie. Tanya, figure competitor, you've seen it backstage, I'm sure, countless times. What's your spin on the women or men? Because you've done both. I've seen some of your amazing athletes coming out. What do you think that mindset in the ugly in competing?
Well, it's definitely there. I mean, to the point where, you know, when I was really heavy in my coaching and, you know, posting about the girls and people would see them. And I'm sure all of you who coach get this regularly, where people come to you and they say, hey, I don't actually want to get on stage, but will you put me through the whole program as if I were going to get on stage? And every single time it is a huge, absolutely not. Number one, because you're not going to adhere to it if you're not getting on stage in a bikini, like you just won't. But number two, it honestly, ultimately, at the end of the day, is not healthy for most. I will not put an entire blanket statement out there, but it is not healthy for most. And both Eddie and Chad are an anomaly. And I think we can all agree on that, you know, Eddie being able to eat as much sugar as he does and, you know, however he does it and stays lean, that's not normal. Chad being able to eat however he wants for a certain period of time and then clean it up when he wants to, that's not normal. And I think we're all okay on this call with not being normal, right? We know we're not at this point. You can't be normal to compete. So I think it can just be really, really hard on the mindset. I recall when I was competing in figure, I would go into the grocery store and it was like from this physiological deep level, those bins of nuts were like singing to me. It's like they had this halo around them. And I just wanted to like convince myself that it's not really like stealing if I just went and like took some. I mean, like these thoughts would go through my mind because I wanted them so bad. My body fat was so low that my body wanted that fat so much. That's not normal. I don't even like nuts. I don't even care about them under normal circumstances. So I think those things can, and I luckily I never went through any type of eating disorders or anything like that, but a lot of people can and do. And so it is not, to me, I'll say, you know, if this is a sport that you want to try your hand at, if this is a bucket list thing, you want to say, I did it, you want to have the pictures, you want to have the proof, let's do it. Let's put you on stage. Let's really talk about all of it. But it's not, at the end of the day, it really truly isn't healthy. And it's not something that anybody should do if they're not going to get on stage, in my opinion.
Thank you, Tanya. Yes, you bring up, and Terry, I don't know if you're frozen or not, because I definitely wanted to hear from you, but I'm gonna pass it down to Marcel real quick. Again, I'm not sure if you've hit the stage before, but I know your wife did. And so even speaking to how fit that you keep your diet in rein, we know it's very different than what you expect from your clients. So, or not, I don't know, but I've seen you before. I've seen you stay pretty lean. So I'm not sure if there's a different expectation. Being one who had watched your, you know, your spouse go through it too. So do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's valid. Everybody has like amazing points. Eddie, Tanya. I mean, it's tough, but I really think, like Eddie was saying, it's up to the coach to really tell people what they're getting into. Tanya said it too, but you know, it's really up to the coaches to say, hey, look, this ain't kindergarten stuff. You know, if this is something that you really want to do, then this is what you need to understand. This is what it's going to take. This is how you're going to feel. These are some of the, I mean, I hate saying side effects, but these are things that people don't think about. So when it came with, to be honest with you, I've coached, people, and I kind of got out of it just because that was never my main focus. It was, it was the other things like weight loss and stuff like that for overall health and athleticism or stuff. But and I always loved the stage prep, but there was a lot of people who just didn't understand what it actually is going to take to get there. So when I tell people, hey, this is what you're going to do, and this is how you're going to feel, and this is how you have to kind of, this is how you're going to rebound or whatnot. It was a shock to a lot of people. So if I felt like they couldn't handle it or they couldn't do it, I wouldn't even train them, But like even with my wife, I think my wife asked me, man, for like 3 years to coach her, and she's like, well, you've done it with other people, you can do it. I was like, no, and she would get upset. Well, why? And I was like, because you guys, I want you to be, understand what you're putting into this, what you're going to have to do. And then when I finally was convinced, and she threatened to kill me if I didn't, but no, I'm just joking. But when I finally was convinced that she was going to adhere to everything that I said, trust the process, and then understand this is the things that she would experience throughout. Then I started coaching, and luckily it's worked really well. It worked out really well for her, and so yeah.
Thank you. Terry, you've seen the backstage, what those competitors are like, and even whether natural or, taking testosterone or whatever it is they choose to do, it doesn't matter because still a discipline that has to happen. What have you noticed with competition? Because we know it's very different than talking about just getting someone healthy.
Okay, I missed some of it because my computer was like doing something crazy, so I had to get on my phone. But like being backstage, I think I heard was I think Eddie talking about, you hear so much backstage saying, well, this person is eating the rice cakes with jelly on it, and I have I'm still eating asparagus and chicken or whatever, or my pump up was orange juice and something. So you just hear so much back there, and you see so many people having that, going back to what Jen said at the beginning, the confusion of what's right and what's working for this person, what's not working for that person. And I look this way because I did this. Most of the time you look that way because you didn't listen to what your coach said. That's kind of the first thing I get, is that you trying to do your own thing and you're trying to listen to too many different people instead of trusting your coach, what they tell you to do, and then the coach taking the time to learn that person, because everyone's different. Everyone has a different oxidation rate, like fast oxidizer, slow oxidizer, whatever. So it's not going to be the same for each person. So you can't do the rice cake and jelly because you didn't listen to your coach and you're not lean enough, and you're just going to spill over or something's going to happen. So yeah, backstage, that's the kind of things I hear. And then even coaching, because I do coach a couple of people, but that's not, I rather do the other side of promoting and motivating and being backstage with the competitors, and then doing things like this, saying, giving them education on what to do to find a right coach or prep for a show, and not be the person who's doing that. So yeah, backstage you just hear so many different ideas and what they think they should be doing because someone else did it and someone's coach did that. When that coach took the time to know that person and know where they are and know what to get, what needs to happen to get them to that point. So I hope that answered the question.
It definitely did. Thank you. Julie, as a female competitor, we met my first show. I don't know if it was Julie's first show, but it was mine. And when you see Julie's 2013, and then you see her in her last show, I mean, she put on some major size, because we both were super small in 2013, and I have definitely a story. But what do you notice about the females backstage during competition?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to apologize to the panelists. You can see I had my phone propped up and I was driving, and now I'm home and I lost the internet. It's kind of a, just get it done. So that's me. But what do I notice back there? It just all depends. I was a figure competitor, and then I moved up to physique over the last few years, and it just kind of depends where people are in their maturity and where they are in the process. But the number one thing that I've always done from day one, and I don't think enough people do, is make friends with everybody back there. I mean, we're competing, but we're also competing against ourselves. I've lost on stages to people who I knew that I, was more muscular than, more conditioned than, but my mindset wasn't there, or perhaps their posing was better. So, I mean, I think we're competing against ourselves. That's the first thing to think about, is that, we're competing against these people, but at the end of the day, we're competing against ourselves and our mindset and our heart. And I've seen all kinds of things back show. I was laughing earlier. I think of the Skittles that I saw opened up and literally flying around the back room, and people were scrambling. It reminded me of some kind of teen movie or something. So, I mean, I've seen the good, the bad. I've seen people using competitions as a form of recovery. They're overcoming something, maybe an addiction or an abusive relationship. So I take those in, and I just try to, you know, not judge people and, you know, kind of think about some of the people, how they treated me in my first shows. And, you know, looking at ways to just pay it forward and not to just be this person out to get everyone. I've made great friends backstage, and, you know, I did it for 8 years. And so I can tell you, I've watched people go through the process. I've watched people get sick. I've seen people die. I've seen people get, you know, go through divorces. And so I think people have to be doing this for the right reason, and they have to surround themselves with the right people. And, you know, I have some of the best relationships and stories from backstage, and I would never turn those in for the world, but I've seen the good and the bad, the ugly back there. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for meeting you, because I think we've shared a lot of stories of, you know, have you tried this? What about that? And I think we're both, you know, professional women and parents and, you know, healthcare providers, that we've been able to bounce some things off of each other too. So it's about knowing who to surround yourself with. And, you know, I just, you know, I'm just grateful for this opportunity to talk to people and learn. And I think we're forever students, whether it's your first show or your 20th.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Julie. Chad, has the game changed in competing? I know you said you started in the 90s. I mean, I don't know how much you followed since, but I know that a lot of people feel like the bodybuilding competing world has changed over the years.
Yeah, good question. You know, I got into it because I was one of those kids reading Muscle and Fitness when I was younger, right? Thinking, oh, one day I want to be like those guys, right? When I was 15 years old, 13 years old, reading magazines, you know, looking at Arnold and the old school guys and what they did, and not truly really understanding the process and what it takes. I mean, I didn't even compete until after you know, my last year in the Navy, when I was getting ready to get out. And, you know, thinking you know what you're getting yourself into, but not really knowing what you're getting yourself into, and then competing for 4 years afterwards, you know, and then, you know, the emotional and mindset roller coaster you go through, you know, because I'm doing this I'm not going there to fail. I'm going there to win. So having that mindset, and making that transition, you know, I don't know if it's really changed between, you know, late 90s, early 2000s. I think, you know, people are still doing their gear. People are still trying to get the competitive edge. People are still doing, you know, whatever, you know, they feel they need to do to present the best product which is them, right, on that stage. So, like I said, I don't judge. You know, you do you, boo boo. You know, whatever works to get your stuff done. You know, you do what you got to do. You know, so you know, may the best man or woman win. I do know that when I get that lean and I'm, you know, 2-3% body fat, I mean, I have a donut craving. I have a problem with donuts. So I'll go up. Yum Yum Donuts is right up the street for me. So one of the ugliness behind my thing is I'll go at 2-3 a.m. in the morning and I'll go get a dozen donuts with a gallon of milk, and I'll eat all them damn donuts and I'll pound that milk, and then I go throw it all up. You know, that's not the best thing, you know, but man, I feel great because I got my fix. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. Now my six pack's back again, you know? So, and, you know, my wife saw me do that once. We actually were married then. She's like, what the hell? Were you just in there throwing up? Because I was competing back in 2007 again, when we first met again. She's like, you did not just go throw up all those donuts. I said, oh, yes, I did. You know, but, you know, I mean, hey, you know, people go through different things. You know, I'm not doing that anymore. But, you know, everybody goes through, you know, good, bad, and I've seen people backstage drinking red wine. I'm like, what the hell are they doing? You know, their blood sugar is always so damn low. They're going to be, you know, they ain't going to be able to pose, but they're drinking red wine. You know, or, oh, it makes me all more vascular, right? You know, or they're squeezing honey in their mouth, right? And they're sucking a ball of honey down. And I'm like, what the hell are these people doing? You know? So yeah, I mean, you know what? It's a crazy thing. It's not meant for everybody. You know, if you're going to step into that arena, be careful what you wish for, because not it's not meant for everybody to do that or go that route, And then the rebounding thing too, like Eddie was saying, he only puts 1.5 pounds on, literally, because he stays strict, he stays to his routine. He's looking at maybe the next show, right? Okay, I did this. Where am I going to be next, right? So the bottom line is, what are your end goals? I think, are you just doing this because it's fun and something cool and you just want to be the best that you can be at whatever? Great, cool. But what's your mindset? You know what I mean? I mean, that's where it really boils down to, I think. I've seen it all too, when it comes to what people do, good and bad.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. And for Jen, for someone who's thinking about gracing the stage, hearing what everybody is saying, what's your thoughts about competition?
Kind of like Tanya mentioned, it's a bucket list thing for me. Something that for someone who has an autoimmune disease, something that seems so unattainable for me at one point in my life is something that I really want to do. But like everybody else mentioned, having your reason, knowing yourself, getting a good coach, who gets the time to know you, and doing the research, and I guess unless you actually go through it, it's hard to know exactly what you're getting yourself into, right? But I think all of those are really great suggestions. And, that's something that I would like to do within the next year. So I appreciate and value everybody's comments and thoughts and education here, as someone who wants to do that.
Well, thank you. You got a lot of coaches on here.
Yeah.
I will speak to my experience before I start trying to transition us out. But is there something you would like to say as either personally or watching me go through it?
So my wife's always getting me into something, right? I will tell you. So I never competed on stage, but let me tell you my journey there. Chad and I were through some pretty grueling training back in the day, and that took its own level of commitment. And so after that, I found kind of medium distance running as therapeutic. And so at the time, my wife was doing marathons, and she was always talking about me getting into marathons. I was like, man, I'm gonna do it when I get in my 30s. And as I got closer to my 30s, I was like, you know what? I don't really want to do that, but I've been running my mouth, so finally I started doing it, and that bug hit. Well, then later, the next phase was she started doing figure building, and she kind of tried to get me into that piece, which is where I met Marcel. And I really wasn't, my heart wasn't into it. And I remember sitting there, I was talking to Marcel. I don't know if he remembers this when I came over to you, and he says, you know what? I just want to look good in my clothes. And I said, that's what I want to do. That's my competition right there every day. I just want to look good in my clothes. So even keeping the mindset that Eddie has, and like what I said before, for me, like Eddie has not on a diet. He has changed his diet. That's why he is able to be successful there, and it's normal to him, and he can deal with that because he has successfully changed his diet, and it's in his mindset for that. So keeping that in mind with what I heard from Marcel, that was the day that I was like, that is exactly what I want to do. I want to just look good in my clothes. So seeing her journey, and I'll tell anybody that wants to get into bodybuilding, figure building, whatever you want to call it, I will tell you this: you might want to have your drawers on tight, because it is not what you think that it is. People think that you're just going to be in there lifting weights and go home, eat some stuff, maybe watch some Arnold videos and have a good day. There's a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes that happens. And so even though I didn't do it personally, I was able to see it with her. And it starts with this. So if you're a spouse or a partner of somebody that's lifting, just know that the minute that they start on that journey, Hostess, Duncan Hines, everybody's going to come out with the latest snack cakes, the new snack cakes that you cream all out and all around. And guess what? You will not be able to share that with your spouse. Then it will turn into, let's go out to eat, babe. Let's go out to eat, babe. Nope. Cancel that out. She's going to eat cardboard and Brussels sprouts tonight. So this, I think, starts coming into the why it's challenging for relationships, because their mindset it's a whole different mindset. And then I'm seeing the posing. Then I'm seeing bikinis. Let me get on for the lady. I don't know about the fellas. I think we can go down to Ross and pick up a couple shorts and be good. But the ladies got to go out and spend $500, $600, $1,500 little bikinis, little dental floss. And you're like, What's going on, right? Then you got to work spray tanning. Then you got to work posing. It's a whole lot of stuff. Again, you got to have your drawers on tight for this. And so it was enough for me to say that I didn't want to do it, but I get it. A lot of folks get into it not knowing that, and that's probably why they're not successful there. Luckily, I didn't get into it that version. And then last thing I'll say, again, I'm only speaking on the ladies. When you start getting that body fat that's so low, you start running into lack of periods. You start, a whole bunch of other stuff that can be experienced if you're not doing it right. And it goes back to the coaching. It goes back to knowing your body. You can definitely have a bad experience. You can get into this business and have one bad experience and think that it's always like that, right? And turns out it was all on the coach. The coach you might have been the coach's experiment and you didn't even know it. So just be aware of that for those that are trying to get into it. But that is my experience with it, and it was enough for me to be on the outskirts. The best thing that I can do for her is support her on endeavors. If she's in that mindset, fine, I'm not going to order pizza that night. I'm going to support her on that. We're going to, eat stuff together, or I'm not going to have things that just tempt her, So for those of you out there who are spouses or partners of someone that's in the journey, just be as helpful as you can and support it as you can.
Thank you. And let me just say, he hates figure posing, you guys. He hates.
This girl will do it on family photos.
Anyway, so he's right. 2013, I had a very, very, very difficult prep. My coach didn't know, and I didn't know what to ask. And so for ladies who are going out to be in it, and Eddie, I think, have said this to me in the past, is just because a person has done a show does not mean they can coach. And you see a lot of people that come out doing that. I was a product of that in 2013. I came out of being a runner, so I was already significantly low body fat. And I went to, yes, eating more food. However, it was just so lean. Like I was getting 20 something grams of fat. My carbs were super low and I was mainly on fish. So I literally did not have a cycle for over a year. Like you, Tanya, I was craving fat. I would get anxiety going down the nut aisle at Target. I would want ice cream. But then you go to a dietitian who's traditional and they tell you to eat whole milk. And I'm like, I'm not eating whole milk, but drinking whole milk and eating whole fat. Are you crazy? Because I still had that disordered thought and distortions about food. And I didn't know enough about my body because I came from being significantly overweight to being a runner, losing all that weight, to bodybuilding. So I don't necessarily blame my coach. I blame me not asking the right questions too, because I didn't know. So like Julie said, then why do people come back? So in 2015, I said, you know what? 2014, I took to learn my body, learn a little bit more about myself. So I got in prep in 2015 with another coach who at that time, I came in almost 8 to 10 pounds heavier on stage and it looked good. Like I looked full. I was so small. I looked like a walking beef jerky, my first prep. And then the second one, I came in a lot fuller and I was eating. To the point my coach was like, no, you get 2 cheats a week. And I was so disciplined that I would only do 1. He'll tell you the reason why he takes me, and he probably won't say, is because I'm going to follow it. I'm going to adhere. He knows that I may challenge him about 99.9% time.
I'll be watching it for
now,
you. Taking photos.
Now I may try to push the envelope of like, I don't want sushi, give me Mediterranean, but I'm pretty easy to work with. But in 2015,
you were scared of the cat to get on that stage again. You are scared.
So he wants me to get on stage. I'm like Tanya, where I'm that person that, just get me close to stage, but I probably won't get on. And it's not something that I would say that I would necessarily do again, but I will tell you that it is a thought, but I know that I'm okay if I never did again. And I check, like ultra marathon check, but I'm not saying that I would not. But I definitely believe it's all to do with the coaches.
But I'm going to be with you all the way to the end. I will be feeding you behind the stage with all the right things. You have to not worry about it.
Is it too late to jump in May 8th in Fresno? Who's doing Fresno? All right. So we're going to wrap up this segment. if you've seen some of my other episodes, I have this segment. It says, how does it go down? And so it's not about explanation. You just, whatever your comment is, we're good. You know, you could just, I'll ask something and you just say, how does it go down? It's not to be challenged. This is your view. It's what you think about it. And so we'll get started. Workout with music or not? Eddie, how does it go down? You working out with music or not?
I do.
Chad, how does it go down?
100%.
Jen, how does it go down?
Absolutely.
Tanya, how does it go down?
With weights, absolutely. If I'm riding my bike or doing some form of cardio, it's a podcast.
Okay. Marcel, how does it go down?
Man, that's a good question. People ask me all the time, and they make fun of me. But I listen to motivational stuff, like our podcast. But I listen to motivational talking. Music gets repetitive. I want something new in my head.
All right. Terry, how does it go down?
I'm with Marcel.
Okay. Tyrone, how does it go down?
I listen to slow jams. Sometimes I'm around people like, how are you doing? And I'm just kind of in the mood and I'm thinking about my sugar right here. I can listen to
Marvin Gaye.
That's too slow for me. I'll listen to something like H-Town or something. I also listen to mainly fast music. I listen to, all kind of various. And then lastly, I don't really do podcasts, but I will do audiobooks from time to time when I'm just trying to be a real methodical long distance.
People don't know this, but I'm listening to sermons. I'll be in there having praise break in the middle of my garage. You can hear me shouting.
It's embarrassing. I'll be outside going.
I will break into a praise dance. All right. A man who skips leg day. Eddie. Look at him.
Well, my clients do very good leg days.
All right. Chad, man who skips leg day. We've seen the body. We won't make fun, but we've seen those bodies before.
That's a whole lot of milk.
Men that skip leg days, I call them prison muscles.
Prison muscles. All right. All right. So I'm taking it you don't skip leg day.
Oh no, I'm a hardcore leg day guy. I'd never skip leg day. Yeah, those that don't do it, and they look like little twigs. We don't want no chicken legs.
All right, Jen, you train men sometimes. Men skip leg day.
No, you don't skip leg day.
Tanya.
Ugh, don't skip leg day. I dated a guy one time that had legs smaller than me, and it's all I think about. Don't do it.
Marcel.
Man, I'm gonna be real. I can't stand legs, but I can't skip them because I'm tall. I'm 6'4.5", so I can't skip my leg days. But it sucks. I got to go all the way down to freaking Texas and come all the way back up to Canada with my squatting. But do I skip? No, I gotta hit them. I gotta hit them.
Yes, Terry.
And you know better than that. No.
Listen, you want to come? I said I'm gonna come back and do leg day with her, but I'm a little scared. Tyrone.
I am the opposite here. I skip leg day all the time. My legs are just naturally big. They're naturally strong, and I focus on a lot more running. If anything, my running actually kind of keeps them more in check because anybody that has big legs out there knows that I can't go out there and pull a nice pair. I want to go to Ross and just go to get size 34, but I can't do it because the pants are so tight. So then I have to get 30s, 38s and waist in. So I have very big legs naturally. So I skip leg day 100%.
All right. I know people are shocked by that.
Oh no.
Huh?
I said I'm not. I've seen his legs. It's a curse when we're running in soft sand, brother.
That's those genetics you're talking about.
Yeah, we got some good quads, and that's it. Oh,
yeah. It's again. I run to keep them lean. Vice.
Yep.
All right. What would you tell a woman that says lifting's going to make her big? How many times have we heard that? Eddie.
All the time. Never stops. There's no good or bad or there's no correct answer for that. You can try to get through it. especially if it's not a competitor, then they really don't understand. All you have to tell them that, you want to get smaller, do what I tell you to.
That's right. Chad.
No, I tell them that, if you want to get lean, you got to build muscle. So you want to get smaller, you need to work them muscles. Period.
Yep.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah,
absolutely. Jen, because Jen got, I know right now you can't see her, but she got some good muscle gains on her.
Yeah, I get that question a lot from women, and no, lifting heavy is not going to give you big arms like that. It takes a whole lot of intentional training and good nutrition, be in a surplus to get larger arms as a woman.
Tanya.
I always say, trust me, it's not going to accidentally happen. So if you get to the point where you feel like you are just getting too big with muscle, then, you can always scale it back, but that's probably not going to happen. And then I usually always point out too, that a lot of times it's not that muscles are getting so big, but a lot of times we've got a nice layer of fat over the muscles that we need to trim down as well.
Right. Eddie, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on Tanya's. They say that, and I used to say the same thing. If accidentally you think, they think that all the time. And what I do, I tell them measure themselves. Measure themselves. Then you don't have to think, because by looking at you, oh my God, I'm getting bigger. Where? Measure yourself. Never lie.
Yep. Good point, Marcel.
Well, I say to my demographic of people that I train, I always tell them lifting weights doesn't make women big. It's the donuts with the lifting, and then the muscle that's actually good is just pushing the fat and making it more surface level, so you can see the donuts you've been eating. It ain't got nothing to do with the weights.
Right. Terry.
I say the same thing, that the food that you eat is going to make you big, not the lifting heavy. I lift heavy, and I'm not like bulky big, but when you need to see the muscle, you're going to see it. And then also most of the people that say that are the ones that already genetically predisposed to be muscular. So they just have to become in tune and love their body where they are. Because most of the ones that say that was like, you were a gymnast. I can look at your calves. I can look. If you lift, you're going to put some muscle on. So just how you trained, and also just learn to love your body and work with that. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna approach this a little different here. This is more of a cultural piece here. And so I will tell you this, for the folks that are the Black folks that are out there. Here's what I see. Here's what I do hear a lot of time, and I think some of the misconception comes out there with what somebody finds as attractive. So a lot of folks that, I'm going to talk about the Black community here for a second. Too often do I see that, once a woman starts toning up a little bit, or, so I think women are, when we're only talking about women right here, I think women are just beautiful creatures, period. Big, small, whatnot. But often that I'll see somebody that's, pretty lean, pretty, like for instance, her physique, but then I'll see a lot of guys, they'll be like, nah, it's too muscular, whatever. And I'll see what they're thinking is sexy. And it's an out of shape. It's just an out of shape person, right? I can recognize that. And it's, I'm not going to say it's sad, but it's just kind of like, it just frustrates me to know, there's a lot of folks out there that don't know the difference between being healthy and just having someone that looks sexy. And I'm always going to defer to, I'd rather a person be healthy, because I do think a very toned woman, or even to a degree for me, everybody has their own degree of muscularity for a woman is very sexy. So I have a wide, girth there, but that is what I see too often. There's just this woman that has to just be big everywhere, and then like that's sexy, and they're mad at the woman because she is toned up. And I see that a lot, and I know you guys hear that a lot. How many times you've got a client come in there, I just want to lose the gut and keep the butt. We know that doesn't work that way, but you hear it all the time, right? Yes. And so anyway, I just wanted to speak to that. I'm hoping that kind of fits in there, but
not lose the gut and keep the butt. So I just want to thank everybody for coming on. I want everyone to tell us where they can find you. If you are accepting clients or not, I definitely want to put that out there. And for those that are watching this in a recording, we will have their information, assuming they're accepting clients. And we'll put that on the YouTube page and the Facebook page a little bit later. So that way, if there's something that resonates with you, something that someone said, or you're looking for a coach, you're looking to get healthy, lose weight, maybe it's competition prep, I don't know. I'll just be honest, I'm on the fence. I know that I could get stage ready in a month. Do I want to do that? It's not just about that. It's about priority too. It's about, do I want to pay that? You heard them, you know, suits cost, tan cost, pro card cost, you know, entry costs. I mean, it's not cheap. Yes, men can get a $40 pair of shorts. Women, I mean, I've never paid less than $280, and that was on sale for a suit. So I do got the heels still. I might just practice in those and send them to my coach. But other than that, I don't know if that is something I want to do, but maybe that's something one of our listeners would like to do. So just before we get out of here, you can find me on YouTube at Finding Inner Transformation. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Fit Therapist. And of course, if you would like to be on the show, the next one coming up is with children, COVID, and how it impacted them at school and just their own mental health. And I think that's extremely important because we know that they have all been impacted in some way, shape, or form, just as we have. So you can email me at fitchatchitchat@gmail.com. So Eddie, where can we find you? You can put your social media, or you can put, you know, what gym, and if you're accepting clients or not.
Well, my name right there, I added it. That's my Instagram. I already added you all. So yeah, I did that already.
Nice.
While you guys were talking, I was looking. The KGB already did a job.
KGB, okay.
I always appreciate referrals. I would love to work with any of you guys. I'm not necessarily looking for clients, but again, if anybody needs help, I could definitely consider it. I work at American Barbell. I'm in Santa Clara County, and I'm in Campbell. So those are 2 locations I work. If anybody that you know, I can look over a posing. I can show them some exercises. If you have a client in my area, of whatever it is, I will help you to help. I don't steal anybody's clients, just to get it out there. I don't need it. But yeah, my handle Instagram is on my name right there. You can DM me on there. The same name is on Facebook. That's the best way to get me in contact. So,
thank you, Eddie. Chad.
Yeah, you can find me at 911academy.com. Right there on or which shirt, I'm all backwards right there, 911academy.com. If you want to get some defense attacks and firearms training, it's not 9/11. A lot of people say 9/11, which is fine, but 911academy.com or Instagram, put it all together. There's some posers out there trying to steal my stuff. So put 911 Academy as one word, not 911 Academy USA or anything else. And also, since we're talking about fitness, you may be the best shot in the world, but if physically you can't get to the gunfight, you got to run across the field or into a building, and you're breathing so dang heavy that you can't put effective rounds on target, well, then you're useless. So keep your fitness up because, like I said, no matter how good of a shot you are, if physically you can't get there and deal with that high threat situation, then you're a liability to yourself and others. So so that's it for me,
Thank you, Chad. Marcel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram, the Marcel Walker. You can find me on Facebook, same thing, Marcel Walker. And then sweatunlimited.com. So you can find me there too. So any online training, but mainly do, in person. I'm not really accepting too many clients or any more clients right now. I'm pretty booked up, thank God, but yeah.
Thank you, Marcel. Tanya.
Well, that was a great idea, Eddie. I just went and followed all of you guys too. So that was back, Eddie. Okay, so as I mentioned, I do have a wait list right now, and I am not coaching anymore in terms of getting people back on stage. But my specialty now is more in lab testing. So I work mostly with women, although I will work with some men. And I specialize in weight loss, healing adrenals, and optimizing performance through nutrition and lab testing. So I do a lot of testing for gut health, stool tests, as well as LabCorp testing, blood draws, and that sort of thing. So usually my clients are the people who have been through the mill with the doctors. You've gotten all your labs run and you come away and the doctor says, you're actually fine. You probably should just eat less and move more, and that should take care of it for you. And the person's left going, I'm not fine. So those are usually my clients.
Yeah. And just FYI, I'm putting Tanya out here. She's doing a 75 hard. So she just recently put out, for those who are interested in doing it, for those who are watching a recording and don't know about it, you can look it up. But if you're local, Visalia, Hanford, Fresno, Tulare, and you want some support, you can reach out to Tanya. I'm doing hard all right with, even though, yeah, I'll lay that one alone.
I guess I should also mention I forgot to mention my where you can find me. So if you look at my name on here, my Instagram handle is my name. So Tanya.Pennington.Miller. And then I have a website without the Miller. I was in business before I got married, but it's just TanyaPennington.com. So you can find more information there. But yeah, so in May, I'm going to start guiding a lot of people in our community through the 75 Hard Challenge, which is not a fitness challenge, but more of a mental mindset challenge, which I think we work on that. We can work on a bunch of different areas in our life.
Yes, that's awesome. Jen, where can they find you?
I am on Facebook. My personal page is Jen Decato Miller or Elite Plant Power, and on Instagram, Elite Plant Power and Jen Miller. And I just want to say, Tanya, I'm so grateful for people like you. As someone who's been through the ringer with doctors, and I have a client who's currently going through that, it's a huge source of frustration when you know your body, you know you're not right. So I'm just appreciative for people like you. But yes, Facebook and Instagram, Elite Plant Power.
And are you doing online, Tanya? I know you got a wait list, but are you accepting online?
Yeah, so probably 95% of my clients are remote. So I meet with them through Zoom. If anybody lives in my area, I can meet with them in my office at my store as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Miss Terry.
Okay, I am Terry Reeves on Facebook, and you can find me the same on Instagram. And then also for the bodybuilding stuff, there's IMBF Natural Central Valley on Instagram as well, and on Facebook. You can find it there about the show. And I am taking clients mostly online, not a whole lot in person now. I train mostly older women that were competitive and they want to be stronger. They're already strong. They want to be stronger in a functional way that's sustainable. And because I'm 60 as well, most people think, well, how are you still doing that and you're that age and staying healthy? And so that's what I do now. So you can find me in those areas, and if you need training, that's it.
Terry, are you guys having a show this year?
Yes, August 21st at the same place at the Clovis North.
Terry, is Clarissa is the one that doing the tanning for you, right?
Yeah, Showtime. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, and do not let 60 fool you, because like I said, she shut my legs down for about 2 weeks before they came back to full feeling. Anyway, we are thankful for all of our panelists. I thank you for giving your time today. This was so helpful. We will be pushing it out over the next week and definitely referring people back to the YouTube page so they can watch the recording. If there's any questions that come up, that sometimes happens, I usually come back on about Wednesday or Thursday, and whatever questions I receive between that and then and there, I will go ahead and do a live, just myself, and I will put those questions out there. If there's something specific to any one of you, then I will shoot them to your Facebook page or Instagram page. But thank you all for being on here. Thank everybody for watching. God bless and have an amazing day. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.